In the trembling light of a desert dusk, where golden dunes meet the purple twilight sky, a strange sound is carried by the hot wind. A haunting mix of flute-like melody and trumpet blast echoes over the sands, stopping a caravan of traders in their tracks. People hold their breath as camels snort nervously. The elders whisper an ancient name with fear and reverence: Manticore, the devourer of men. From the shadows of evening, the legend comes alive. With unseen steps, a fabled creature has always lurked at the edges of the known world, terrifying generations with its appearance and thirst for blood. Thus begins the tale of one of mythology's most enigmatic creatures, a story that will carry us from the ancient courts of Persia to the superstitious hearts of medieval Europe. The origins of the Manticore fade into the myths of antiquity, tied to Persian myths and the mysteries of the Orient. The name Manticore comes from the Old Persian language, in which the term mardkawar literally meant man-eater. This legendary creature was regarded as the embodiment of ultimate danger, the supreme predator of humans, and likely first emerged in Persian folklore as a personification of the wild forces lurking at civilization's borders. Persian legends placed it at the far extremes of the known world, beyond the empire's frontiers, in the exotic lands of ancient India. To the Persians, the distant eastern realms hid marvels and unprecedented monsters, and the Manticore was the most fearsome of these beings. The first written account of the Manticore reached us through the ancient Greeks. In the 5th century BCE, Greek physician and historian Ctesias of Cnidus, who lived at the Persian royal court, recorded Persian tales of this astonishing beast. In his work Indica, he described a fabulous animal called Manticore, relaying that the Persians had spoken of a creature in the Indian territories with a human face and a lion's body that devoured people. Ctesias's report, though now lost in its original form, survived in echoes through other authors' works. In this way, the legend of the Manticore entered the consciousness of the Mediterranean world. Even the great philosopher Aristotle mentioned it later. While viewing its existence with skepticism, he still noted its features as it is said to be, if we are to trust Ctesias. Through such writings, the myth of the Manticore was carried onward, sparking curiosity and fear across different cultures. In the cultural context of late antiquity and the early Middle Ages, the Manticore became a symbol of the mysteries of the East. The Romans also adopted the tale. Naturalist Pliny the Elder, in the 1st century AD, described the Manticore as if it were a real beast from the lands of Ethiopia or India, adding even stranger details. It was said that this creature could mimic human speech to lure its prey. Meanwhile, some ancient writers viewed the legend critically. The geographer Pausanias, in the 2nd century AD, believed that the story of the Manticore was nothing more than an exaggerated account of a real tiger brought from India to the Persian court. In his view, an awestruck imagination had transformed the tiger into a monster with human traits. Even though some were skeptical, most compilers of encyclopedias and bestiaries preferred to include the Manticore in their works as a curiosity of the natural world. For centuries, this creature was part of people's mythological horizon, a legendary presence whispered about at campfires and in royal courts alike. The Manticore was consistently described as having a fearsome appearance, a true hybrid between man and beast. Its mythological portrait was so fantastic that merely listing its features sends shivers down one's spine. According to the legends passed down through the ages, the Manticore possessed the following memorable characteristics. Face of a human. Though its body was of a beast, the Manticore's head strikingly resembled that of a human. However, it wore a grin filled with sharp teeth and had an inhuman gaze, often described as having piercing blue or gray eyes. This human face on a beast made the creature all the more unsettling, as if an evil intelligence of a cunning man lurked behind its cold eyes. Some medieval artists even depicted it with a long beard or a strange headdress like a Phrygian cap, heightening its exotic appearance. Body of a blood-red lion. The Manticore's body was massive and powerful, like that of a giant lion. Its fur was the red of cinnabar or dried blood, according to ancient accounts, a sign of its bloody nature. It had paws with claws sharp as scythes, ready to tear apart any creature. The strength and agility of this beast were legendary. It could easily leap over wide obstacles, and its gallop was likened to the flight of a bird or the sprint of a deer. No man or animal could escape once the Manticore was on the hunt. Tail of a scorpion with venomous spikes. The most horrifying part was the creature's tail. Like a giant scorpion, the Manticore had a large stinger at the end of its tail, loaded with deadly poison that killed instantly. Along the tail were additional venomous spines lined up like barbs. Legend says the Manticore could use its tail as a distance weapon. It would shoot these spines like arrows in any direction, striking down prey from afar. More terrifying still, these spikes would grow back after being fired, so the monster was never left unarmed. 3 rows of teeth. The Manticore's mouth was full of sharp teeth arranged in 3 parallel rows in both its upper and lower jaws. With such a shredding machine, it could crush bones effortlessly. It was said that the Manticore devoured its victims whole, leaving not even a single bone behind, an image meant to freeze the blood of those who heard it. Distinctive, alluring voice. A strange element of the myth is the Manticore's voice. Different sources compared it either to the combined sound of panpipes and a trumpet, or even suggested the beast could imitate the cry or song of a human. Imagine a traveler lost in the jungle, hearing in the darkness what sounds like the distressed call of a person, only to discover that he's been deceived by this wily creature. The Manticore's voices were deadly traps. Once drawn in by the bizarre song, a person would fall prey to the lurking beast. In some later interpretations, especially in the late Middle Ages and popular folklore, the Manticore was also depicted with wings of a bat or dragon, making its character even more demonic. Drawings and paintings in medieval manuscripts sometimes show it with a blue body or covered in long mane, sometimes even with the face of a woman, each artist trying to capture the horror of the hybrid in their own way. Despite these variations, however, the essence of the myth remains the same. The Manticore is a consummate mythological predator, a war beast of the deserts and jungles, combining familiar traits in the strangest possible way. These attributes secure its place of honor in the gallery of legendary beings, alongside the Egyptian Sphinx, the Chimera, and the dragon, as a symbol of the nightmare beast that the human mind conceived to give shape to its deepest fears. Throughout the ages, the Manticore has been portrayed in stories as either a fierce enemy of humans, or, more rarely, a fearsome guardian of some forbidden realm. In Eastern legends, this creature waited silently in the thickets of India. It was said to prefer hunting humans, considering them its favorite prey. Travelers who strayed too far into the deep forests or remote deserts risked never returning, swallowed up by the unseen man-eater. Villagers in ancient kingdoms would warn their children not to wander off the path at dusk, for the Manticore might lie in wait behind the trees or dunes, ready to snatch them away. In this way, the creature functioned as a sort of mythic scarecrow, meant to keep people away from real dangers, like big cats or treacherous places, through a far more terrifying story. There are also tales about how humans might have tried to defend themselves against this beast. Ancient chroniclers mentioned that the people of India had a strategy. If they managed to catch a Manticore cub, they would smash the spines on its tail with stones before they fully developed, thus leaving the future beast without its most dangerous weapon. Of course, such a feat would require insane courage and rare luck, but the legend highlights human cleverness in the face of an almost invincible foe. In other medieval stories, heroes and legendary knights confronted the Manticore as part of their trials. For instance, in a castle in Tyrol, there is a mural depicting one of King Arthur's knights battling a Manticore, suggesting that, in the Western medieval imagination, the beast was counted among the monsters that only the bravest warriors could face. Such representations fed the public's fantasy. What if a knight truly had to face such an adversary? A duel between man and monster in which wit and bravery would be pitted against unbridled strength and cruelty. The Manticore's interaction with humanity was not only physical, but also cultural and symbolic. In European medieval times, the Manticore's story entered illustrated bestiaries, popular compendiums about real and fantastical animals often used to convey moral lessons. Authors like Thomas of Cantimpré or Bartholomeus Anglicus included the Manticore in their writings about the marvels of nature. Scribes and artists depicted the creature in vividly colored miniatures, a reddish monster with a bearded human face, swallowing a human leg or prowling with claws poised. But beyond the illustrations and descriptions, medieval people also assigned the Manticore an allegorical meaning. Being a beast with a man's face but a monster's heart, it was associated with deception and tyranny. Many Christian interpreters saw the Manticore as an image of the devil or of evil hiding behind a human mask, seemingly rational, having a human face, but essentially cruel and devouring souls. Because the Manticore was always hungry for human flesh, that insatiability became a symbol of sinful lusts and uncontrolled desires that can destroy a person. Thus, in the medieval moral code, the Manticore often personified envy, ruthless power, and debauchery, warning of the dire consequences of yielding to temptations. Additionally, its hybrid nature, mixing features from different species, was interpreted as a sign of moral chaos, of a lack of clear virtuous direction. Through this lens, the Manticore's tale became a parable. No matter how civilized someone may appear outwardly, if dark passions rule inside, the result can only be monstrous. The Manticore's influence on human culture was visual as well. Sculptures and decorations in medieval churches sometimes included its figure to represent vices. On the famous medieval map Hereford Mappa Mundi, circa 1300 AD, the creature is drawn in Asia, facing a tiger, a hint that the map's creators considered the Manticore part of the fabulous fauna of the Orient. In heraldry, it appeared as a fantastical emblem, sometimes under the name Manticore, signifying wild and dangerous power under the bearer's control. On the coat of arms of the English Lord William Hastings in the 15th century, for example, there was a manticore with prominent tusks, a symbol of ferocious strength and vigilance. All these examples show the fascination and respectful fear people in the past had for this myth. To them, the manticore was not just an imaginary animal, but also a message about the limits of the known world, about order and chaos, about evil hiding behind deceptive appearances. The legend of the Manticore has always raised the question, did such a creature ever truly exist? Even the ancients debated this. While some firmly believed the travelers' tales and listed the Manticore alongside lions and elephants in their natural histories, others viewed the story with skepticism. As far back as antiquity, rational theories were proposed. Some Greek and Roman thinkers suspected that the Manticore might actually be a misinterpreted real animal. The most common hypothesis was that a Bengal tiger, a large, reddish, man-eating big cat in some cases, was at the root of the myth. Seen through the eyes of a foreigner who had never encountered such a creature, the story of a ferocious tiger may have been embellished with fantastic details. Perhaps the spiked tail came from observing porcupines, which ancient people believed could shoot their quills. The human face and exaggeration meant to heighten terror, and the trumpet-like voice a poetic interpretation of the tiger's frightening roar echoing in the jungle. Pausanias noted wryly that even the name Manticore might just be a combination of man and tiger, suggesting a false etymology born from a desire for the sensational. Throughout the Middle Ages, as the world became better known, the Manticore came to be viewed increasingly as a creation of imagination. Medieval travelers who explored the East never found any beast matching the ancient descriptions. Even so, the lack of tangible evidence did not completely extinguish belief. Legends have long lives. People of those times lacked modern scientific means, so they accepted the Manticore's existence as possible in unexplored places. Only in the Renaissance, in the age of great geographical discoveries, when naturalists rigorously cataloged the fauna of India and Africa without encountering any creature with 3 rows of teeth, did the myth begin to pale in the face of reality. Enlightenment scholars classified the Manticore as a mere legend, alongside the griffin, the unicorn, and other chimeras. Yet a few enthusiasts and collectors of curiosities in the early modern era still sought explanations. In the 17th century, for example, scholar Edward Topsell continued to describe the Manticore in his natural history book, compiling all the old reports and trying to compare them to known creatures. He suspected that under various names, such as Marmorion or the Lucrocuta, lurked the same fabled beast, a sign that fascination with the Manticore persisted. However, as the science of zoology advanced, it became clear that no real animal fully matched the terrifying Manticore. Thus, it was pushed definitively into the realm of mythology and fantasy literature. In modern times, the Manticore survives more as a symbol and inspiration for works of fiction rather than as a subject of genuine expeditions. Cryptozoologists, those intrigued by mysterious creatures, have seldom focused on it, considering it too fantastical to have a kernel of biological truth. Even so, its idea has spawned folkloric theories. One myth suggests that manticores vanished from the world as civilization expanded, retreating to the realm of shadows or being slain by unknown heroes. Other popular and literary imaginations hint that if it ever existed, the manticore might have been the last specimen of a now extinct species, hidden in some forgotten corner of the jungle. Without fossil or biological evidence, such theories remain pure speculation. The likely truth is that the manticore was always a creature of the human mind, an ingenious amalgam of fears and fascinations. In the absence of any confirmation, it disappeared at the moment humanity accepted that the once mysterious edges of the map no longer hide monsters, only explainable animals. The legend of the Manticore endures even today as a testament to the power of imagination and cultural symbolism. From the whispers spoken in dread in ancient Persia to the meticulously painted miniatures in medieval manuscripts, the story of this beast has inspired fear, awe, and reflection on human nature. The Manticore personified the unknown, evil, and danger, but also humanity's capacity to create stories, to understand and figuratively tame the things it feared. In each era, it bore a different role. For Persians, it was a mythic predator at the world's edge. For ancient scholars, a curiosity worth recording. For medieval people, a moral allegory about vice and virtue. Today, as we listen to these old legends, we can imagine the untrodden steppes and jungles of long ago and the mystery that settled over them at nightfall. We can almost hear in the silence between the trees a strange sound like a flute and a trumpet, and see with our mind's eye a reddish shadow moving swiftly. Unbidden, a shiver runs through us, the echo of an ancient fear. Like all great mythological creatures, the Manticore continues to live as long as we, the storytellers, speak its name. At the end of this legendary journey, we are left with a sense of wonder. Even if the Manticore was never encountered by any mortal, it exists in humanity's cultural treasure trove. It reminds us of a time when the maps of the world had undiscovered edges marked with the inscription, "Here be monsters." And who knows, perhaps deep in our imagination, at the border between real and fantastical, the Manticore still waits, ready to challenge us to dream, to fear, and to venture beyond the limits of what we think we know.